Hello and welcome dolls to another video. This video is kind of the second part to the video I put up last Sunday. In that video I discussed how to shop 60s and 70s clothes, and I also had my dear friends Floor and Tess on board to answer the question of how to shop 60s and 70s plus size clothing. And one thing that has come up underneath that video that I get just asked a lot in general is where do I shop for 60s and 70s clothing, and this video is going to be all about that. So I want to start by talking about vintage boutiques and just 60s and 70s shops that I can recommend online, and then talk a little bit about all of my favorite vintage inspired brands like the Chain Design, who gave me this dreamy dress. I just want to say that this video exclusively is about shopping online for 60s and 70s clothing, and if you want to know a little bit more about how to thrift them, click the video from last week. So let's get into it. The biggest online platforms that you can find true 60s and 70s clothing are obviously eBay and Etsy. If you want to know how to shop on there, also go check out that video. But there are also shops online that specialize in 60s and 70s vintage. What I love about these shops is that you can just go on their pages and scroll, and everything that you're seeing is basically 60s and 70s style, because that is kind of the time period that they decided to cover. And it is very amazing because I feel like a lot of the time if you're looking for 60s and 70s pieces, especially in a thrift store, it takes a while to find these. And what they do, they pre-curate all of these pieces for you. So here are some of my favorite 60s and 70s boutiques. I want to start with the Octopus Garden. They gave me some pieces last year and I'm still over the moon with them. Everything that they have is usually very colorful, their prices are very affordable, and their owner Caitlin is just the sweetest person alive, so I can definitely recommend them. They do drops pretty frequently and they ship from the UK, so if you are in the UK or in Europe, this is usually a pretty quick delivery. Next up is Genie Vintage, also located in the UK. Her style is a little more open, like there are also 50s, 30s, 40s pieces, but I love the way that she presents these items, and she's also just such a kind soul. The shop is very well organized. She runs her shop through Etsy and it is always worth checking her out. I'm literally just going through like my Instagram and seeing who I'm following. Rel Love Studio is this girl Becky. She also is based in the UK, and they usually have very beautiful gun sack style dresses. Everything is very dreamy. Heyday's vintage is great for more of like a psychedelic style, a more late 60s kind of look. The doors inspired very Jim Morrison, a lot of leather pieces, a lot of Indian inspired things. And then there are shops like Vava Vintage and the Costume Crowd, the shop of my dear friend Tess, where they do story sales. So basically you can just dial into their story sale and they will show you each piece, tell you about the measurements. So if you have your measurements on hand, it is very great to shop there too. So these are some of my favorite vintage shops online. Let's head into vintage inspired brands. So for those of you who don't know, there are brands out there specializing in remaking 60s and 70s style. So a lot of their pieces might feel familiar because you've seen them in like 60s magazines, you've seen people like Patty Boyd or Sharon Tate wear them, and they kind of reinvent these pieces. So they often draw a lot of inspiration from these styles and silhouettes and then kind of modify them. The great thing about these brands is that first of all, they're very size inclusive. Usually you can get everything in different sizes. You also just have the option that whatever you're seeing on their website you can get, because it is all available in your size. So these are all brands that I love to shop at or I have worked with before. All of their pieces are amazing if you're looking for a 60s and 70s style wardrobe. A lot of their pieces are staples for me, and since I always get asked where I buy my clothes, I really want to emphasize on these brands because it is basically the only way you can shop pieces that I have, because everything else is vintage. So yeah, let's head into the video. So let's dive in. Maybe we will just start with what I'm wearing today. This is by the Chain Design. The Chain Design is a wonderful brand by my friend Lucy. They're based in the UK and everything they have is very Patty Boyd-esque. It is very dreamy. She also recently launched some denim pieces. I love the dresses and just everything. All the patterns are so beautiful. Like for example this, I love how she matches velvet with these prints. And one more thing that I want to say with all of these businesses is that they're usually small businesses. A lot of these things are handmade, and that just honestly is such a sustainability aspect for me. So supporting people and brands like the Chain Design is simply wonderful. Moving on with Day Tripper. Day Tripper is a brand based in Australia, and they also make amazing prints. A lot of the silhouettes that they do are rather modern, but she also does wonderful jumpsuits. She does a lot of custom pieces. You can always reach out, and I love her jumpsuits. They're so comfortable. They have a little bit of stretch, so you feel very nice wearing them, and I just love how colorful and dreamy everything is. I also have a code for you where you can always save 10% when shopping Day Tripper. Next up is 70s Soul. So 70s Soul very much leans into the hippie-esque kind of style. A lot of tied up tops, a lot of long skirts, a lot of embroidered dresses. She also makes amazing coats, and she also often has hand-curated vintage pieces. I love her brand. I have this dreamy set. It is made from silk, which is just the greatest material if it is hot out, and just very amazing if you're looking for a very hippie-esque late 60s going into the 70s kind of look. Moving on with Scorpio Rising. I personally have never shopped there, but I love the pieces. I really love these dark velvet designs. It is a very dark 1960s kind of look. She has all of these amazing velvet pieces, and I love how everything is customizable. You can like decide between longer pants, shorter pants, and I would really love to order something from her in the future. It is just, everything is so beautiful and dreamy. With some of these brands, I just haven't ordered anything yet because they are sometimes quite expensive. But I feel like if, for example, this style is really what you're going for, it is definitely worth the money, because from what I heard about these brands or everything that I've tested, these pieces are very high in quality and they will last you practically forever. Moving on with another brand I haven't ordered from before, Gimmick Clothing. Gimmick Clothing is very much that mid-60s moi look. Everything is like an A-line, a lot of A-line silhouettes, a lot of very great geometrical shapes. I love this. It is a lot of shift dresses, and everything about her brand just feels so 60s Carnaby Street that I truly love. These pieces are slow and handmade in LA, so if you're located in the US, shipping is quicker. I'm also saying where places are located because usually with shipping, it is a little bit of a price difference. If you're located in the US and you get something shipped from the UK, it's just a little more expensive than if you are living in the US and ordering from the US. Moving on with Mod Shoes. I feel like Mod Shoes is one of the only places that makes vintage inspired shoes. There are definitely a few other ones, the Hippie Shake, I'm gonna get into that in a little, but Mod Shoes is basically dedicated to making 1960s and 70s style shoes. I have some amazing pairs, and I just want to say these are so comfortable. I feel like when it comes to vintage shoes, it is very hit or miss. Sometimes you find styles that are so dreamy, but if they are authentically from the 60s or 70s, they're usually either very expensive and they can be in pretty bad condition. And I know that some people just don't like the idea of wearing pre-used shoes. So Mod Shoes is your place to go. I have these white shoes from them. They're called the Marians, and I love them so much. Most likely gonna wear them to my wedding, and they're just so comfortable, so beautiful, and simply dreamy. Next up, let's talk about Miracle Eye. Miracle Eye were one of the first brands to do 60s and 70s inspired pieces, and she very much leans into the 60s. What I love about this business is they also had a shop. Everything is just so authentic. It looks very much like a real 60s boutique. I feel like there are a few styles that she was very popular for. These velvet dresses that I have one, but then also these overalls and just everything jumpsuit kind of looking with very nice patterns and just a very timeless cut. But as said, I have that Miracle Eye dress that I actually bought off of Vinted pre-worn, and it is absolutely amazing. The quality is off the charts. It is so comfortable to wear, and this is one big tip that I have. With a lot of these brands, I'm just gonna be honest with you, pieces are rather expensive. It's because they are usually handmade, slow fashion, locally sourced, and so pieces are just a little more expensive. I want to be very transparent here. I get a lot of these pieces gifted, but I know that for some people it's just not realistic to exclusively shop these brands. So my big tip is to go on eBay, go on Etsy, go on Vinted, whatever you're using, and mark the brand so that you get notified when something gets uploaded from that brand in your size. Because as said, with that dress, I think I paid 20 bucks for it, and I think buying it new is over 100. So I really got a great deal there. Moving on with the Hippie Shake. I feel like the Hippie Shake is probably the most popular 60s and 70s inspired brand. They have close to 500,000 Instagram followers, and I think they are very widely known. I very much love their pieces. I feel like they don't really have a distinct style, but rather with every new collection that they come out with, they lean into a different look. Everything that I have from them is simply beautiful. I have a wool dress that is so warm and nice. I have some pieces that are very great for the summer. And overall, when ordering, this very much feels like a big shop. So basically, they have a lot of pieces in stock. They also have warehouses, I feel like, in the US and in the UK, so shipping is very inexpensive if you're located somewhere around that. Shipping is also very quick, but they don't do any customs or anything. I feel like because they are now very popular with what they make, they just cannot make custom orders, so everything that you see is what you get, but their designs are very, very dreamy and beautiful, so I cannot recommend them enough. Moving on with one of my favorites, the Belatednick. I have worked with the Belatednick for quite a while now. These pieces are all handmade. She makes so many custom pieces. Coco just makes amazing pieces. I have this green velvet look. I have this very nice cotton top with some matching shorts that I love. I have a very dressy velvet dress. You can save 10% on there too with this coat. And what I really love about her brand is because she makes everything in like her little room at home. It is very customizable. She's actually also making me my wedding dress right now, so you can definitely commission her to do other things. And I honestly cannot recommend her pieces enough because the designs are beautiful, the quality is off the charts, and she's just a very sweet person. Next up, let's quickly talk about accessories. So I feel like 60s looks are also often working because the accessories are right. And one thing that I, for example, have is this choker. This was made by my friend Jojo from Jojo Nouveau. You can find her on Instagram. You can also commission her to make these in whichever color you want. You can like exchange the little symbols on the front. She also makes them with like some charms, but I really love them. I feel like they're great. They're so unique and just perfect for a lot of 60s and 70s looks. For jewelry, I'd also love to recommend you Mind Flowers. These are laser cut jewelry pieces. She also makes light switch covers, which I would love to use, but in Europe, this is not what the light switches look like, so there's no way for me to use them. But I really love everything that she makes. I feel like it's very reminiscent of the 60s and 70s and just so perfect. And just staying on the topic of laser cut earrings for a little, there are also brands like Fried Flowers that I truly love. Ada Bings makes pieces that very much lean into this direction, and it's just all very perfect. Honestly, if you're looking for these very big laser cut 60s earrings, I cannot recommend you to check these brands out enough. And then one final brand I quickly want to talk about is Love Child Beauty. If you're looking for like 60s makeup, which I know you can basically use whatever you want, but I just really love the Love Child Beauty. You can also save 10% here with this code as well. I want to quickly talk about them, but because I feel like a lot of people wanting to do the 60s and 70s look also want the vibrant eyeshadow looks, and I cannot recommend you their palettes enough. They are very high pigmented, so amazing, so beautiful, and yeah, I just really wanted to toss that in here when talking about where to shop for the 60s and 70s clothes, because it kind of also coincides with where to shop for 60s and 70s accessories and makeup to achieve that look overall. So yeah, that's it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, I would love you to give it a thumbs up and maybe even share it with a friend. Please leave a comment down below telling me what are your favorite 60s brands and shops. I would love to know where you love to shop, and I feel like there are probably brands I've never heard of before that make amazing 60s and 70s pieces that I would love to know about. I hope you have a beautiful day. Go out, enjoy the sunshine, take yourself some time to focus on you and your mental health today, and I will catch you in the next video. Bye everybody!
The worst has already come.